man may not be on the top of his form, but he can still make himself useful.
Welcome back to the By Design podcast. I'm your host, Ronnie Knuckles, and today I am joined with our client success manager, Dakota. Dakota has been with Spear Crest coming up on a little over 6 months now. He actually joined us. We mentioned this on another episode, but he joined us right at the time we went to the Lone Star Dumpster Showcase. His first day was there, and it was also his anniversary. So
it was my 1 year
Sorry
anniversary.
to intrude. Sorry to intrude.
It's all good.
But no, so part of what we want to do here is bring on different people from the Spear Crest team, from the Sergeant Junket team, and just let you guys get to know them. Dakota's a co-host, and you'll see him on when we do like team chats. You'll see him on when we do Bible study chats. And so I want to kind of give you guys the opportunity to get to know him, and then also get to know what he does. And so I think knowing, especially for our clients, these episodes will be more centered around people that are maybe considering working with us or that already are working with us, to really get to understand who we are behind the scenes. So I'm not going to rehash who Spear Crest Digital is. I think we covered that pretty well in episode 2. So yeah, man, I just wanted to kind of talk about what the client success life is like. I know, just so that you guys are aware, to kind of build this frame for you. When Dakota came on, we had around 20 clients, something like that.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And today we're close to 50. And so I was doing all of the client success, like all of the check-in calls with our clients. I was also, making sure that our websites were getting built on time and doing all the quality checks. And since then, Dakota has taken really both of those off of my plate so that I can focus on building the brand, like this podcast, for example, and, also driving sales. We also have a tornado test siren going off behind us.
That is really loud.
It is, and if you hear it, I am sorry. They do this on Tuesdays.
Well, we just had a tornado last week,
and we did just have a tornado. So anyway, that's kind of where we were and where we're at now. So Dakota's life has gotten increasingly busier since November.
In a fun way.
Yeah. And so client success for Spear Crest, I think we're good at driving results. Mm-hmm. We saw that this morning with some of the client reports we were looking at. But client success is an area where we could get a lot better. It's going to be our focus for 2025. We're going to be doing some things that no one else is doing, and Dakota's going to be heading that up. So I just kind of wanted to talk with him about that today. So I guess I really want to start with, clearly you like client success, but what would you say so far has been either your favorite moment or kind of your favorite thing that you like about this role?
Well, maintaining the relationships is really fun to me, especially seeing businesses grow. It's kind of interesting to see how I got to this role, considering my past. I've always worked tech. I went to college, got a computer science degree, always worked tech, behind the scenes kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Never really did sales, never really did any client relations as what it was. So it's been really fun to build these relationships with clients. And, these business owners are really, really driven. But I think we do a really good part in our client experience of making sure that, our job is to do our job and they still have a job to do.
Correct.
And that's kind of one of my biggest hiccups in trying to figure out how to navigate those conversations with some business owners, because at the end of the day, you can't hire us and we come in and just make $1 million overnight. Yeah. We would be able to charge a lot more if we did. Yeah. So just trying to navigate those relationships, especially going through winter, man, in the industry we're in, it's a really tough time for a lot of business owners in general. Through the winter. So trying to navigate those, trying to just steer these business owners in the right organic marketing tactics and schemes that we've built, all the reports that we've done and stuff too. So it's fun, man. It's a roller coaster for sure.
It is, especially in that winter time.
I'm not everybody's fan favorite in the winter, but that's okay. We power through, and the results speak for themselves too, which make my job a lot easier because we do a good job of that. But definitely just building these relationships and making the client experience, because at the end of the day, we never want to be a business's biggest expense, and we don't want to run them dry. We want to actually, essentially our service pays for itself once you get to where you need to be, because it's not overnight. And I think we do a really good job of making sure our clients know that it's not overnight. So, just trying to navigate those roller coaster of conversations where people wake up and you kind of hit the panic button sometimes. And it's like, well, what am I doing? Am I spending the money right in the right place? Am I doing this? But it's always rewarding, whatever month it is, 4 or 5, when I get a call and it's like, our phone won't stop ringing, or, this has been the best. We hit a record month. I think we've had 4 or 5 clients last month. Been like,
last month was crazy.
I literally did a client review 2 weeks ago, and he was like, this is a really rough time right now. We're not doing anything. And then 3 days later, he texted me and said, I just rented out everything I own. So it's weird how the tide turns like that, but you just got to stay the course and trust us, which I hope we do that effectively when we talk to these clients. Say, hey, and like, there will be tough times and there will be some, rougher months or slower months, especially with all these variables of, elections or long winters when it's cold outside. So I think there's a couple of areas, but I just want to make sure that we focus on the client experience and communicating what we want to accomplish and making sure everybody knows that where their dollars being spent, where that's going to.
Yeah. I think it's a client success manager is a super challenge. It's like you don't think it's going to be that challenging of a role until you get in it. And then you realize like it is challenging because it's multiple different facets. So for those listening or watching, we're a digital marketing agency. I mentioned this in episode 2, but maybe you didn't catch that. So we do organic marketing for service-based business owners, primarily junk removal and dumpster rental. Dumpster rental, I think, is our biggest niche right now. We are also kind of segueing into restoration. And we'll work with really any home service-based businesses, but that's where we're, that's our primary niche for now. With that said, it is a seasonally based business.
For sure.
We've built a bit of a good reputation, and so a lot of people want to come to work with us. And so one of the things that Dakota and myself both have to do is we can't work with everybody, because if a business owner, I'm going to just keep it frank and keep it real. If a business owner hasn't proven that they can make money without us, we will not work with them.
Yeah.
And we didn't always do that, even when Dakota came on. Like, we were just wanting to work with people and help people. And what it turned into was we were the company's biggest expense. And these business owners were coming to us and looking at us to save their businesses.
Right.
And that's not what we're here for. Like you were saying, man, it's like, we are here to take what you're already doing well and get it in front of more eyeballs. And that makes your life easier. And the client has a much better, they're more patient, because they're not like, oh, I need this to work right now so I can like not go under and file bankruptcy.
Exactly.
It allows us to have the time we need to actually get results. And yeah, look, man, we make mistakes sometimes. We're not a perfect agency. But like just this morning, we had a guy freaking out, which I'll explain that in a little bit. Because look, I've been in their shoes. I still own a junk removal business. There are times when it gets so dried up that you're like, oh, I'm not going to make it, especially if you're doing it full time.
Right.
So I get the panic. But anyway, this guy's panicking, and we're his only source of leads, I think. And then we pull up his data, and he's gotten like 80 leads.
In the last 31 days.
Right. And so then it's like, we know that not all 80 leads are going to be solid, and maybe he's not landing them, or he has a sales issue or whatever, which, again, that's another thing. But we're able to pull up our data and go, all right, we're getting this guy results.
Yeah.
Where have we maybe failed in communicating? And I'm not just you. I'm saying, like, as a team, where can we get better to communicate? Like, hey, bro, you're getting 80 leads, so do you have a sales problem? Where can we get better at directing our clients to nail down the real issues? And so as a client success manager, you're really like, you're a part client success and making sure they know the data and they know how many leads they're getting, but you're also like a consultant in a lot of ways.
I mean, you're essentially an internal marketing team for these guys.
You are. And they're looking to you like, okay, bro, I get it. I got 80 leads, right? Like it's hard data. It's from the website or from the Google Business Profile. We're not fluffing it. We're not using any kind of weird software.
Yeah, you can't.
We're not going to do that. I mean, there are agencies that do, but that's not what we're about. But now that we know we don't have a lead problem, maybe we have a sales problem. And so then we can start to peel the onion back. And what are you doing about sales? Are you answering every single phone call? Because if I get you 80 leads and you only answer 40 of those calls, well, then
which helps with you owning a junk removal business too, because you kind of know the ins and outs of it as well.
And so for you, you're getting into, you're kind of getting what it looks like to run a service-based business, which is a cool skill to gain. But, over time, people are going to start looking at you, not just as the guy that gives them the data, but also like, I really need your help in regard to running my business. And so you're kind of a quasi-consultant as well.
That's a good word.
Which one? Quasi?
That's an interesting word.
Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, I pulled that out of my back pocket.
I like that.
I'll brag on you a little bit here. So Dakota has, he came in November, and we were not in a bad spot, just kind of in a weird spot. We were kind of
stagnant.
Yeah, stuck in a rut almost. Like we were hovering around 20 clients. We lose 2, gain 3, lose 3, gain 4. It was just weird because I was trying to do client success and everything else, and people were getting mad.
Well, if you wanted to scale how you wanted to scale too, you couldn't have done it all yourself in the first place.
Yeah. The timing was good. I had hired a client success manager who was a great guy, but he was remote, and I'm not good at managing people remotely.
Yeah.
But then Dakota came in, and you've got that high gear that we need, and I'm kind of a high gear guy, and I needed another high gear guy in here who could move the needle, and who could push me, and then also push the team. And so, in addition to being the client success, you've really helped us establish the culture up to this point.
Yeah.
So we've built a culture here, and I'm going to rehash some of the things that we've talked about in the other episodes, but you've helped us establish this culture of, one, we have a good time, and we joke, and maybe a little too much, but we have a great time.
It's a balance, yeah.
It's a friendly culture, but also like when it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah.
And, I think that having you here has given me the freedom to really kind of act on that. And so like, if the team's not performing the way the team needs to perform, well, now I've got people in here that I know that I can trust, and I can go attack that.
Yeah.
And it's like, we are going to prune this culture and make it to where people are getting a friendly experience, an effective experience, so they're getting results. And they're also getting individuals on a team through Spear Crest that are all growing themselves individually, which in turn will result for more results.
Right.
Whereas if we were just like, hey, we're going to bring you into Spear Crest, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and that's all we're ever going to do. Okay, well, you can go anywhere and get that.
Yeah.
Whereas with us, you're going to get X, Y, and Z, but we're also constantly molding ourselves into the next version of ourselves individually and as a team, and there are so many ideas that flow.
Really unlocks the ceiling.
It really does.
When we really have that mindset too, and I think we say this pretty often. You got to be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
Always pushing the needle, always trying to figure out what we could keep doing. And we're a small team, so it's fun, man. It's a grind. Startup. Yeah. It's not even a startup necessarily. It is, but it isn't. They are a grind, and they are not all sunshines and rainbows like everybody thinks. It's going to be. It's going to take time. It's going to take building the culture, building SOPs, building everything. I mean, everybody's in place with how they need to be, and we all have a good foundation for the culture. Yes. I've worked in really toxic environments, and
me and you both.
Yeah, the corporate world is not for me. I've seen like like we've said, like you're a cog in a wheel for a big corp where you're just another number to them and stuff. And you feel valued or be heard or something like that. So I was always like, I've worked startups for the last what feels like 10 years of my life. I'm 29 now, so once I got out of college, I worked corporate for 2 big corps, and it was great money, but it was a terrible lifestyle. There was no value in it. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel heard. No respect. So I just wasn't in it for the rat race. I couldn't do it. It's
tough.
I have always been the high gear guy, and I've always been the guy that's pushing everybody to be better. But you do get exhausted being that guy.
Yeah.
It is exhausting being that guy. So it's nice to have someone that you can kind of bounce off when, if I get in a rut, you pick me up, or vice versa.
Right.
And not everybody is really wired like that. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
No, you can't have everybody wired like that.
It's not a bad thing.
People will be fist fighting.
I think once you start to bring people around that environment, so we say culture, you bring people around that environment that are being proactive instead of reactive, it rubs off. It does become contagious.
It does.
And you start to push, and you see other people elevate and become better each and every day, whether it's personal or business. Right. So I think that's really, really interesting. And I appreciate those kind of words, because I was looking to join in on something where I felt valued, but also where we could push the needle and really, tap into that potential.
Yeah. And look, I agree. I think it's like, we don't need everybody to be, I'm hesitant to say this. We need everybody to be high performers.
Yes.
And if you can't meet the standard, then you need to go somewhere else. Yeah. And that's not, maybe that's harsh to hear, but too bad. We are not in a position to have people that we got to drag along.
Can't hold hands.
And we're not in a position, and a matter of fact, I don't ever want that for you. I don't want you to have team members that are like that. I don't want that for them. I don't want them to have leaders that are like that. And so maybe it's harsh, but it's like around here, you're either going to perform at a high level. Now, I'm not saying you need to be like me or you, and you need to be overly driven. There's consequences that come with that. Yeah. I mean, we talk about that a lot. Like, there are a lot of values in being a highly driven person. There are also consequences that come with that. And if you don't know how to manage them properly, you could find yourself with bad relationships with your children.
Burnt out.
You see a lot of these guys that, they got all the money, but like their wives hate them, their kids, right? So at what cost? And so one of the things about having, all these different types of personalities in the same building is that we kind of balance each other out.
I agree.
With the one exception of you will perform at a high level, or we will find someone else that will perform at a high level.
Yeah.
And so I think that we all agree on that, and it makes this kind of good synergy, because again, we don't need 4 or 5 people in here that are like me and you, because we will fight.
Yeah, it would be bad.
And so we need people that are a little bit more like, hey, maybe we do this route instead, or that are just a little bit more like agreeable in some ways. I think that the people that are disagreeable maybe push the needle, which is good. We need those, but we also need the balance to make sure we're not, because you and I can go crazy. Yeah, we come up with some great ideas, and
2 a.m. we'll be like, we need to restructure everything. And we have a good foundation.
And I think, and I wasn't trying to text on my phone while you were talking. For those listening, they didn't see that, but if you're on YouTube watching this, as Dakota was talking, you brought something to mind. This is something that's big for me in 2025, and I kind of brought it to the table, and it's directly related to client success, and I wanted to bring it up. So I know that he doesn't dress the best, but Jesse Cole from
outfits
from Savannah
Bananas. It
works,
man.
His business, the way they have transformed Savannah Bananas from essentially nothing, like everybody was like, this is never going to work or whatever, to selling out an entire NFL stadium just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
In a matter of like 2 years is insane.
It's pretty impressive.
And they are known for their client experience. And we are trying to figure out how do we capture that in a digital marketing way.
Yeah.
Because let's just keep it real, man. Digital marketing agencies from a high level don't have a great reputation. Now, some of that goes back to their work with anybody, and so they have bad clients.
They get burnt,
right? So, like, we're trying to mitigate that by having real good conversations with people before we work with them. So, you want to work with us? That's great. Let's make sure we're even a fit. Which, if you're a marketing agency, I recommend you don't do what I did and wait a couple years. Like, start doing that right now.
Get qualifiers.
It's going to hurt a little bit because you're not going to get to work with everybody, and you're not going to make the sale. But it's going to be better for you that you make the sale with a client who can, 1, afford you, and 2, understands the relationship in such a way that they're going to stick around for a while, and they're going to shout from the rooftops that you're getting them results because they're going to give you the time to do that. But so that's kind of the first piece of this. Once you get to a place where you have the qualifiers set and you're firm on them, then you can go, well, how do we optimize the experience for the client, right? Because that's where I think we can like really, hit the needle. And so Jesse Cole with Savannah Bananas has 5 E's. And this is something that I have on my whiteboard. I've thought about even printing it off and putting it around here. But this is something that we're going to focus on in 2025, and it goes to client success, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. So he's got a book called Fans First. I highly recommend checking that book out. But his 5 E's for like client success are these. So eliminate friction. And what does that look like for us, like eliminating friction? So as far as I'm concerned, that means a super easy onboarding process. That means there's no, when we say we're going to get our website built in 4 to 6 weeks, we get it done in 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe we get it done in 3. Like, we overachieve when it comes to
under promise and overachieve.
Yeah, we have a super simple onboarding process. We have a super simple kickoff process. We have a super simple and effective. When I say simple, I mean and effective along with these things. But we eliminate any of the friction. It's not, hey, I need you to take 15 steps to get me over all the information. It's, hey, here's this one document, fill this out. That's all we need, and then we're good, right? Yeah. So like we can
simplify it.
Yeah, prune the branches, eliminate the friction. Number 2 is entertain always. So this is something that is interesting.
That is interesting.
Dakota is really one of the main reasons we have this podcast going. Entertaining people in a non-entertainment industry is difficult.
Very difficult.
And so how do we do that? Well, we can have a podcast where we have interesting guests on, and that we don't necessarily talk about digital marketing. I mean, we had Daniel Stanton on episode 3.
Great episode.
Dude, man. But, Daniel owns a dumpster rental business but we barely talked about dumpster rental.
Right.
So one of the ways that we're going to entertain always. Now, if you're a service-based business owner listening to this, I need you to start getting your wheels turning on how can I eliminate the friction? How can I entertain always? So entertain always, a good thing, a good idea for a service-based business is we bought a chicken suit for Tim. Mm-hmm. And Tim he
lives in it now full time.
He's chicken man,
yep.
right? And so maybe there's some kind of mascot. Maybe you own a junk removal or a dumpster rental business and you dress a guy up as the Cookie Monster with he's like got the trash can at Sesame Street. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe you find an outfit like that and you entertain. You don't have to sell all the time, man. Just have fun with it and enjoy it and get creative. Entertain people. And when the time comes to work with someone, they're going to be like, they're hilarious. I want to work with these guys.
Which, I mean, there's random things that can make you stand out like that, too, when owning a business. I have a guy that's in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest, and he has all pink dumpsters. Yeah. You just don't see that. No. And it's like, well, that's the exciting. I don't know exactly who that is. Right. It's simple stuff like that, too. Yeah. It's just ways for you to stand out. I think entertaining people. There was one guy we had who had dumpsters painted like cows, like a milk cow. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Because you're going to be like, oh, that's cool. Every time you drive by that. You said you had one guy that had camo ones, too, right? Yeah. Trying to think of who that was. But yeah, I've seen camo dumpsters. Might have been Troopsol Junk. Might be. I know they got camo wraps on their trucks. That's pretty cool. When they got a really sick brand. Yeah. But so like branding is part of entertaining, but then how do you come up with unique, look, man, if you're a business owner and you're scared to get in front of a camera, I get that, but you're going to have to get over that fear. It's 2025. The social media platforms out there, that's where you're going to build this brand awareness. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It's uncomfortable, doing these podcasts where I'm sitting in front of this camera and I got to like make sure I'm sitting upright. Like me too, bro. It's weird, but it is necessary because I'm trying to give you guys value, but also I want to entertain you all and give you something you're right. So this is our way to entertain always. Yeah. We got the Chicken Man suit. We got a lot of cool ideas coming up with that, but also we can bring people to this table that have really cool stuff. We got some super cool guests coming in. I mean, you see, like on TikTok, you see like lawn care. These people get millions and millions of views like edging. And my buddy Chase Stetson, the lawn dude. Yeah. Dude, he's got over 1 million. He did Rick Ross's house. He went out to, he cut the Oakland A's field for the last time. That's wild. Got flown out. All this crazy stuff, dude. And it's all just from doing videos on TikTok. Right, yeah. And he's just like kind of. It's at your disposal. Right. You just got to be creative and you got to be consistent too. That's the name of the game. That's really what it is. You could have one great idea and go viral, but then a week later, the next thing's already booming. Right. So you got to have it rolling. You got to entertain always. And I think Jesse Cole kind of hit the nail on the head with that. Yeah. The next one is engage deeply. Mm-hmm. And this is where... This is an interesting one. It is. And it's like, okay, I think it's a little easier for a digital marketing agency because we have 2 conversations a month with our clients, right? And we have clients that we're talking to. Like our clients are with us every month. Whereas with a junk removal or dumpster rental business, you get a lot of one-off guys outside of your commercial people. So I'm going to use commercial people as an example, but first let's talk about what we're going to do. So one of the things that we're going to start doing is Dakota. He has like a kickoff call. So, we'll launch a new website and I'll post it on my Facebook. If you follow us, you've seen that. But then Dakota will set up a kickoff call with them and he's asking them a series of questions, right? Getting to know them. He already has kind of their file, but then it's like, but I get to really know them. Yeah. Then it's really like, all right, this is going to get a little weird, but I need to know these things because I want to know you. Yeah. And then he'll tell him about himself. But I want to know you as a person, not as a businessman. Right. Yeah. Like your family, your kids, birthdays. What do you like to do on the weekends? Stuff like that. What are you into? What sports teams are you into? And here's why. When these clients stick with us for long periods of time, we want to reward them for that. Like as a thank you gift. Like, the clients that stick with us long term, that's what allows Spear Crest to grow and allows us to hire more people and allows us to have that consistency. Without those clients that stuck around for a long time, we would be caught in an eternal hamster wheel. Yep. Turnover. You engage deeply, but to what end? Well, we're doing that so that we can say, hey, bro, you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. Here's 2 tickets, take your wife. Whatever it is, that's a high ticket item. It doesn't necessarily need to be that. It can be something much smaller. But how do you do that? How do you engage your community as a junk removal business owner? So let's open that, or we can use dumpster rental as fine too. These are kind of, by the way, if you don't own a junk removal or a dumpster rental business, get creative in how you can do this. You can do this with any kind of home service-based business. The principles remain the same for business. Right. And it might look a little different. Yeah. But so
let's talk about engaging deeply from that perspective, because if you're listening to this, you're probably going, oh, well, it's easy for you to send tickets to a Baltimore Ravens game, but, I've got 4 employees and 5 truck or whatever, like I've got all these other overhead expenses. I can't necessarily spend $600-700 on some tickets. So think of this in a couple different ways. What you can do is you can write a handwritten letter to the commercial property manager who continues to use you over and over. You can take them out to lunch. You can get to know them on a personal level. You don't necessarily need to send them gifts. You can also engage your community deeply. And I think that's easier for a service-based business. Yeah. Whereas for us, it would seem a little... We're not out providing a service in our community. Our service is around the country.
Right.
Sure, we could do that, but our clients are everywhere. Your clients as a service-based business are in the city that you're located in. Mm-hmm. I had you come on the show to talk, and here I am talking.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
But I want to go through these things. For Sergeant Junket, one of the ways that we did that, we were kind of like a standby natural disaster relief company. And what I mean is, like, we're not going to come in and do what the Army Corps of Engineers does, or, some of these other really awesome, I think Team Rubicon, like there's some really cool organizations that do that, but we could turn around really fast. So in 2021, I think it was 2021. Yeah. Well, 2020, we went to Hurricane Laura. Excuse me, went to Hurricane Laura in Louisiana. In 2021, Western Kentucky got hit by an F5 tornado, which was very bad. Around 100 people died. It hit at night. It was bad. Sergeant Junket, within 24 hours, we were able to get the community involved. We had a donation drive. We partnered with a nonprofit, and we were able to get like almost 8 full truckloads of supplies to Western Kentucky in under 48 hours. Yeah. So we get immediate relief down there. We had a semi-truck full of water. And so we are engaging our community deeply at that point. Now, Western Kentucky, where we were at, was 2.5 hours from here. And the intent wasn't to like gain more business. Mm-hmm. The intent is, let's help our neighbors out. Yeah. These are Kentuckians. They're 2.5 hours away from us. And while they're not in our service area, we are bringing our community together to support our neighbors, right? So like, dude, the news, we had WHAS 11, which is a local news station, and all the news stations coming out and doing this because they are trying to get the community involved. And so now the community not only gets to see that we are doing these things for the right reason, they get to be a part of it. Yep. They get to come and donate. And some of them were like, hey, can I go down with you guys? And we're like, yeah, let's go. And they, we had a convoy, I think, of like 30 cars drive from Louisville to Mayfield, Kentucky. That is engaging the community deeply. Now, hopefully you don't have a natural disaster that you have to do that in. Right. But be thinking in those terms. How can I give back? What value can I give? How can I engage with my clients that are existing or the community in which I serve? Mm-hmm. Maybe they have cleanup days. Go park your trucks up at your Chamber of Commerce and clean your community up, dude. Take that time. You're not going to make money. We lost a lot of money doing that, but who cares? Yeah. We were engaging our community and setting the tone like, this is what we're about, Be
that helping hand.
Yeah. So, sorry, I know I got off on a tangent. I'm trying to make sure that as I'm talking through this, people kind of understand how can I do this? Because you hear engage deeply, and it's like, well, what does that even mean?
I mean, there's just, it doesn't have to be monetary either. Like you said, you could do things that just help your community or help your clients, like a handwritten note. Like that does mean a lot to a lot of people. I think you showed me that first forum thing that you had, and it had been a year since you've chatted with them, and they're just checking in. And it's like small stuff like that makes you think, okay, that's an experience that we want to mimic, and that made me feel good.
Yeah, it made me want to if you guys don't know what First Form is or like who Andy Frisella is, I highly recommend you go check him out. I will name drop him and say, if you haven't checked him out, you need to do that. But their product, First Form, is incredible. And I've never seen customer relationship like that. And so like very similar to Savannah Banana style, they have an app and they give you like a personal coach for like $14 a month. And I mean, a personal coach like this guy's like, hey, send me your workouts, send me what you're eating, and I'll help you develop a plan and hold you accountable. And like one-on-one, like he'll FaceTime you, like it's legit for $14 a month. Well, that same guy, he'll follow you on Instagram. He'll invite you to follow him. And so you can kind of see what's going on. Well, that same guy, I was like, hey, I'm good. I had some health stuff going on and dropped out and canceled my subscription and forgot all about it. Yeah. He wrote this like really intentional handwritten letter and like spoke to me directly. It wasn't like some kind of generic handwritten letter.
It was personal.
It was. And I'm like, dang, man, I really kind of want to go download the app again.
Right.
And so it's those little small touches.
It really
that
is.
took him maybe 10 minutes, you know? So be thinking about what you can do. And that's certainly something that's on our minds right
for
now.
sure.
Experiment constantly. This is interesting. This kind of goes to Woo, who is behind the camera right now, making sure that we look good and the lighting is right and we sound good. Client success, we're experimenting inside of that. We're experimenting with the questions that we ask and how we onboard, and you're getting ClickUp set up and all those sorts of things. But there are other services that we could be offering as an agency that we're not offering. Right. And we're going to be offering them. And so we are experimenting. We put Woo through a boot camp. It was rough.
That was a fun one.
I sat in on it a little bit, and I could not understand what the lady was saying. But Woo had his face 2 inches from the computer, and he was engaged.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're doing that to experience this new.
Which I think the
service.
way me and you are wired, we'll never just kind of be stagnant. We'll always be experimenting.
Yeah.
And trying to evolve the brand and trying to really push the boundaries and try new things.
I think this is an easy one for us.
And
for
that
sure.
doesn't mean every idea we have is going to work. Majority of them probably won't.
Yeah.
But
which is fine. But if one does,
that's all you need.
Right.
And that's what kind of brings you back to it. It's always kind of pushing the limits. It's like, we get in this rut where a lot of business owners or a lot of companies will just kind of just plateau.
This is what we do. Is who we are.
Yeah,
all
plateau.
We got.
This is all we offer. It's like, why don't you just kind of, make the experience different, make the services different, make everything different, continue to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Experiment with all different kinds of things. Like even this podcast, we've been up, this is episode, I think this is going to be episode 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And so we've been experimenting with this, if you listen to the other episodes, we'll blow your eardrums out because the audio is so loud.
Right.
And so we're experimenting with different cameras and lighting and where we're sitting, and we're always doing different experimentation to perfect every aspect of what we do. I mean, dude, bringing on a client success manager in-house was an experiment, and it's a continuous experiment and will continue to be. And being a business owner for me is an experiment. Every time we hit a new milestone, it's not like I've done that before.
Right.
So we are constantly experimenting, and we want to make sure that we translate that out into making sure our clients can kind of draw from that and go, maybe they can start asking questions and say, well, how'd you guys do this? And we can say, hey, try this. But you as a business owner listening, you need to figure out ways in which you can experiment. Don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable.
Cannot get comfortable. That's when you sink.
That's the quickest way to die. You're going to get comfortable, and then there's guys like us who aren't going to get comfortable, and you're going to get overtaken because there's someone in your market that's hungry. And we used to, here we go, I'm going to give a Marine Corps reference. Dakota loves my Marine Corps references. Every time I say one, he's like, oh, you were in the Marine Corps?
I didn't know that.
I talk about it every day or something. But, we used to say this, and I think it's true. This is a way to get junior Marines motivated, or your drill instructors would get you motivated, and they would say something like to the effect of, oh, you want to sleep? You want to sleep in your rack all day? You think the Taliban guy over there with barely any food, nothing else to do but think about killing you, you think he's sleeping right now? You think he's taking a day off? He's not. He's training to kill you, and you get to sleep in and hang out and eat some donuts and don't PT and don't do what you're supposed to be doing, and when you go meet him in combat, he's going to kill you. And so even though that's
pretty crazy perspective.
That's an extreme example, but the same goes.
Yep.
Because it is life or death when it comes to this. I mean, at least for me, I don't have a plan B. This is it. This is the only plan. And so if that's all I got, and then you're over here and you got 5 different plans, you got 5 different things that, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Or, well, if I get fired, it's fine. I'll go find something else. Won't be that big of a deal. You're going to get crushed, not just by life, but by all of the people competing for the things that you want.
Yeah.
And I think that one way to avoid that is to be constantly experimenting, because you're going to find something you like in that.
Yep.
And you're going to get to go down that vein, and it's going to continue to push you. All right. I could talk about that all day. The next E is empower action. This is something that you have helped us with an incredible amount. So Dakota is friends. He had been friends with Ryan or Woo the guy behind the camera, for a long time. And I think you were just, Woo, he's not on camera, but you were just kind of coming by one day to say what's up to Dakota. We started talking, and then I had a conversation with Dakota. I was like, bro, let's bring him in and get him, see where we can put him, because we needed some help. We just weren't really sure where we needed it.
We needed some help, yeah.
And we thought maybe sales, but sales for what we do is kind of weird, because we were doing cold outbound, but when you cold call people, it's just a tough job. It's a weird vibe too.
It's a tough job.
Yeah, it's tough. It's weird. People don't really like it. And at this point, there's so many spam calls in the game. It wasn't like it was 5 years ago. So anyway, Dakota kind of poured into Woo and was like, hey, like, this is yours, man. You take it. And, we got Woo set up on that boot camp, and we've got him kind of doing his own thing. But you really, I empowered you with action to say, I need you to kind of handle this. I need you to take over fulfillment and client success. And you were on it. And then you did the same thing for Woo. And, with Tim, with Sergeant Junket, it's like, hey, sink or swim. This is yours. Yep. I'm empowering you to do this.
This is the opportunity.
Yeah, it's your opportunity. Take seize the moment. Or don't, but we're going to empower you to do that, and we're going to support you to do that.
Something that's always stuck with me too is you always have one chance to make a first impression. And that has always stuck with me. So when an opportunity arises, you have to hit it head on, or it'll slip by, or you won't get the same one. If you get the second opportunity, they already have their impression made on you. Yeah. So you really gotta, there's so many things you can do in life. Pick something and be great at it. Right. Well, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like a man of all trades, or a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. Right. So it's like you could be good at a lot of things, but be great at one thing. Yeah, I agree. Especially in our world of work, where like we offer a service, be the best at that. Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to you saying, like, someone will always outwork you. They will, if you let them. Yeah. Someone's always out there. Someone's hungrier than you, man. And the moment you get comfortable is the moment you die. Yep. And I think through what we do, by giving each individual person, and we empowering those people to take action, we allow ourselves to stay a step ahead. Yeah. Because if it were just all like, hey, before you do anything, you got to come to me. No. Now, I'm not saying if someone's doing something stupid or not, they're not being efficient or whatever, that you can't step in and say, but you have to micromanage your business. It'll never scale. That's what I'm saying. And then it's like, I'm never going to be able to get to the next level unless I empower people to take action. Now, if they take stupid action, or if they don't take any action, I can still come in and say, hey, bro, get it together. Here's what you need to do, but I shouldn't have to come. You micromanage early, and then once the trust is built, you let off the reins. We just talked about this recently. But once you let off the reins, you empower those people to take action. And the caveat is, if you're one of these people that is being entrusted with, the empowerment, you better take the action, because there's somebody who's always saying, waiting. If I could co-work for that company, I would kill it. And they're waiting to take your spot, and they'll do it 10 times better than you if you aren't performing at a high level all the time. And that goes for me as a business owner. There's another competitor out there who's watching what we're doing, who's saying, man, I need a podcast. Whatever it is, And look, dude, a lot of my competitors already have podcasts. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, I want to do the same thing. I just want to do it differently. Yep. But it's a dog-eat-dog world, man. And I know that sounds harsh. And I have great relationships with competitors. I said that weird. Great relationships with competitors. I love them. They're great. A lot of them are great people. At the end of the day, we are still competitors, and it is dog eat dog. And a lot of them wouldn't be happy if I went out of business, and I never would attack them in any kind of way. Right. But I always know they're trying to figure out, what can I be doing better? And they know that I'm doing the same thing. And together we push each other. But what we know as a group of competitors that kind of work with and talk with each other is we've got a whole nother group of guys somewhere that we are not seeing that are coming after us. Maybe not directly. But it's a respect thing, too. Right. And so, to tear down to build up.
And we also need to respect the people that we don't know, the competitors that we don't know. We need to just assume that they are outworking us. I'm not saying work yourself into the grave. I'm saying if you're not performing at 100%, someone else is. That goes for any kind of business that you own. So having the ability to have people in your office or surrounding you that empower you to take action, as a leader especially, you need to empower your team members, your peers, to take that action. Don't micromanage them, or you're going to get crushed. Just be aware of the opportunity in front of you. I think that's a big thing to note.
you could be one-dimensional in your work, but just because you're one-dimensional on one thing doesn't mean that that's just one simple task.
Right.
Like being a client success and managing these relationships is not just a simple task. It's a lot. There's a lot of personalities. There's a lot of conversations.
A lot of nuance.
It's a lot to it. But when you wake up every day and say, you're not going to outwork me, and I'm going to make this experience the best for every single one of my clients, it shows.
It does.
It will show, and you'll hear about it showing too. So it's, you give what you get.
Yeah.
Or you get what you give, sorry. But I think it's just people don't take the opportunity at hand and they think they'll get another one. And it's like, I've worked in not so fun spots and situations. So it's like when you get an opportunity that you're in love with, I don't feel like I work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't either. I
used to live for the weekend. I used to just dread going to work.
Yeah.
It would literally drain me mentally.
Right.
Now I don't even think about it.
Right.
I work on the weekends.
Right.
When I'm not with
unintentionally.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, if I have, like, if I'm with my kids or something and I'm not going to take a lot of time out of my day, but it's like if something comes up, I can answer a call real quick, but I don't feel like, oh, this is sucking the energy. I'm spending time with my kids. I can't talk to you because it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like it's just part of life.
It is.
I try my best not to be sucked in on my phone though when I'm with my kids. However, when you work, like you're saying, when you enjoy what you do and there's a culture surrounding you, where everybody's empowered in action, maybe they just need some help, it's a lot easier to answer the phone and help each other out because it's just, I don't know, man. It's not like an employee-boss relationship.
Thinking about work, I used to dread it.
Yeah.
Now I think about how we keep building it.
Right. And I think that that's something we never want to lose. And I think through, this is going to go back to this current point is empowering that action. I think if it was all about micromanaging, or say I brought you on and I'm like, hey, I need you to really like nail down on these guys. I need you can only do X, Y, and Z. If you're going to do anything else, you need to ask me first. But it's more like, hey, figure it out.
Yeah.
Here's the kind of bumper rails in the bowling alley. I'm going to set the bumper rails up. If you bump into them, that's fine. We'll steer each other back into the middle. But here's the other thing: you get people that take advantage of that, and they're gonna either not do what they need to do, or they're gonna think you're never gonna make a change, or whatever it is, and you're gonna have to be firm on your bumper rails.
Yeah.
These are the bumper rails. You crack a bumper rail, you're going to go into the gutter. And it just is what it is. We have to be flexible enough to empower the action, but firm enough to say, if you can't take that empowerment and seize the opportunity, remember what I said, there's a guy waiting and he will do that. And so anyway, I think I like to operate in that space.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that
as a business owner too, you want to make sure you're giving that opportunity to someone that is proactive and not reactive.
Correct.
And you can usually, that goes back to the first impression too. You usually can tell if someone kind of has that in them or not.
Yeah.
Through it all. So
yeah, first impressions are important.
How you present yourself initially is really everything.
I think that I like that. First impressions are important. I think you can also give too much on a first impression. Yeah. You try too hard and then that kind of comes off, or obviously you can be slobby and not show up 100%. So, there's kind of a balance. But anyway, I think one of the ways that we're going to move forward, especially in the client success role, is we've empowered action. And if you're a service-based business owner listening to this, at some point you're going to have to hire people.
Yep.
And dude, it's difficult enough hiring people in any industry. Service-based industries are like exceptionally hard. But the reality is you're going to have to just keep bumping your head and bleeding until you find the right people. And eventually you will. But just know it's going to be a battle. Everything in business is a battle. Right. But don't be one of these people that says, you can't find good help. There's no good help out there in the world anymore. There is. You love my voice, bro. There is good help, but also look at yourself too.
Yeah,
take some extreme ownership there.
Well, I think a good perspective too is, take a step back and say, would I want to work for someone that's been acting like how I've been acting?
Yeah.
And a lot of leaders don't do that.
One, it's a hard pill to swallow.
It's an ego thing.
It's a hard pill to swallow. Two, it takes time to do that. And a lot of high-performing leaders don't have a lot of time or aren't willing to make the time. But you are...
Or they're programmed by their leader,
correct.
Which is like...
Or that's just the culture.
Yep.
And, or, a lot of guys that are in these industries, they worked in construction, or they were welders or whatever. And then they came into this industry and they kind of keep that same culture with them. But it doesn't work for a new business. I don't care what industry you're in. You have an opportunity to set your own culture. But if you kind of bring that old school, I don't want to say old school because there's qualities in old school mentality. But if you aren't willing to understand that the culture starts with you, and that to attract good people, you need to set up a nice culture, you're going to have a real hard time.
Yeah.
And you are going to be that guy.
Culture is the foundation of every successful business.
Yeah.
And it's at the end of the day, that's what it is. If you harp on your guys and your employees all the time, you're just going to build that resentment up.
And if you're having to do that, you don't have the right people.
Yep.
Or
you don't communicate effectively with your employees.
Exactly. You either don't have the right people, you don't communicate well enough, or both.
Because I would like to think that majority of the people in the world, I do firmly believe there's more good people in the world than bad people. So if something's going on at work and you got to tell your boss you got to do X, Y, and Z, and you have that relationship and the culture set where, something happens or whatever, you should be able to have that conversation and not be scared to have that conversation with them.
You should be able, if your boss isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, like just call them out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be nice, but that's nowhere.
Let's hear.
Well, it's you know what I'm saying.
I know, but I'm saying
the jobs that I've worked. If you ever contested anything, it just was the end of the world. There was people.
You weren't going to do that.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a question of if you could. It was. Oh, I'm not.
It's not something.
Now, I think that there's a fine line there, and certainly you don't want team members that are just calling you out all the time.
Right.
If you're a good leader, though, the boundary will speak for itself. I'm talking about leaders that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, or are setting a tone, or setting a standard and not meeting it themselves, and then having some trusted people that are on their team, maybe even reporting to them, to be able to pull them aside and say, "Hey, let's have a one-on-one conversation. This is just set your ego aside. This is the perception of what's happening right now. In order for you to keep the culture strong, I need you to make this change or do this. You're holding me accountable, but I'm going to make sure that
it's got to be vice versa.
It does, and so that's something I want to build here. Yeah. It's interesting.
We do have that here. I want to tell you.
Bigger
I was just thinking of
it's hard.
My past.
I know. I worked for those corporations too. The problem is, you speak to power in those situations. I had a guy, wouldn't call him out by name, but we had a leader come in late, right before I left my corporate job. And we had a really great leader who kind of led the building. And it's a long story, but essentially my department reported to a director who was not in that building, right? He was out of state. And then he ran like the operation department. And of course, all the operations reported to him. Well, he thought that because I was in his building that I reported directly to him. However, I just kind of dot line to him, and my team reported to me. I reported to my director.
He's not your boss.
He wasn't my boss. He was
acting like it.
Now, in regard to his seniority level within the company, technically he was a higher seniority level.
But you didn't roll.
Long story short, he comes in and he's hair on fire, going to change the world. Now, I think that there is benefit in that, and I'm not trying to knock leaders that want to come in and change the culture.
Right.
However, we had built a really good culture. The former director that was there had built a great culture, and she was moving on, and essentially he was just coming in to, kind of replace her. But instead, he was trying to tear everything down that she had built, and it was going to be very micromanaged, very like if you miss your numbers, you're done.
Yeah.
I want my hands in everything.
That's
I was like, okay, we're not doing that. And I had a meeting with him, and I was like, you are going to run the teams and the good technicians and good engineers that we brought in here. You're going to run them out because they can get jobs anywhere. A skilled engineer, a skilled technician can go get a $40-50 per hour job very quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I'm not saying that just because they're highly skilled, you shouldn't hold them accountable. I'm just saying you don't need to scorched earth right now. Mm-hmm. You need to earn that credibility.
Yeah.
He was not hearing it. And of course I left there not long after that. And I think he ended up getting fired or, something. But my point is, the leader, you as the leader are responsible for setting the culture. No one else.
Yeah.
The problems in the culture are your problems. Mm-hmm. Maybe you didn't start the problem, but maybe you hired the guy that did.
You're responsible for it now.
You are responsible as the leader. There's a great book, Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership. Read it. It will change your perspective. You take ownership for all aspects of your life.
Yeah.
The very last thing I wanted to talk about was creating fans for life. So this is kind of the last, we went through the 5 E's. He talks about creating fans for life. So for us, we want to create fans. We want to do that through this podcast. I hope that you're getting value out of what we're talking about. I think with the guests we've got coming into, that's really going to help. Yeah. You guys are going to get opportunity to meet and hear from some really cool people and some cool stories. How do you create fans in your brand for life? Well, combine the 5 E's that we just talked about. Go back, take notes, combine those 5 E's, and you will have people that are advocates of your brand. We have clients that do that for us. Mm-hmm. Facebook posts, hey, who's the best website builder for a dumpster rental business? We get tagged very often. We get a ton of referrals, and we could do a lot better in getting referrals and asking for referrals. However, I think with 2025 coming, we are really geared toward not just pouring into our clients, engaging with them deeply and giving them more services and all that, but we're going to create fans through that because their lives are going to change. And so how can you impact someone's life? I think that's how you create a fan for life. What is a lasting memory that you leave with them? And then I'll leave you with this, and I'll give you some time at the end here. I know I talked a lot. One of the things that we're going to start doing once we roll out some of these new things is we're going to talk about what were your client first moments every Friday. This week, what were your client first moments? Well, what does that mean? So when it comes to Savannah Bananas, they say, what were your fans' first moments? And they make every person that was there talk about what they did for a fan. Did I went up and I saw a boy in a wheelchair and I sat next to him and took photos with him and hung out with him and gave him a free shirt or whatever. I'm just saying, how does that translate into you as a dumpster rental or a junk removal business owner? What were your client first moments? In what areas did you go out of your way to put your client first and maybe do something for free to help that client? Start implementing those things. Yeah. That's something that we're going to be baking into what we're doing. So yeah, man, I know I did most of the talking.
You did a good job.
But I wanted people to hear from you. I think that you're a critical piece to this puzzle. You have a very difficult job coming up in 2025.
It's fun, man. I don't view it as difficult. I mean, it could be tedious and stuff. Yeah. But I'm pretty organized. I'm happy. I'm driven. Yeah. The culture here is fun. I don't feel like I work. I'm obsessed with getting better. Yeah. I love brand building and helping business owners support their business and their families. Yeah. It really gets me. It brings a lot of joy to my life, knowing that I'm helping other business owners provide for their business and their families. Yeah. That's I don't ever view, I think partnership's an okay word, but I really just want to become part of their brand when you partner with us. So it's not just like a Spear Crest thing and then a company thing. We're actually like, I'm part of your brand now. Right. Like you could call me at 2 a.m. if you want. You want to chat about random stuff. My wife will get mad, but that's okay. I want to be there for you because, like I said, essentially the clients that we work with, we are their internal marketing team. And these guys don't necessarily know, especially in this day and age, what even marketing is because, 25 years ago it was billboards. Now it's all online.
Turning into AI.
It's all digital stuff. And it's like, these guys don't know computers sometimes. It's, simple stuff. I have clients that call me and ask me stuff that's not even related to work. Right. And it's, hey, could you help me with this? And it's small things like that where you just take your time out for where you care for them. Yeah. That means a lot. Yeah. It's super rewarding. So brand building is my passion. It truly is. Yeah. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity. Like you said, it's definitely a tedious roller coaster of emotions and conversations.
Yeah, it's difficult in a good way.
But I have, I love every single one of my clients. And that, I get on calls and they're upset with me. Or they're upset with how things have been going.
Not all the time.
But, during the winter, you're going to see stuff. You see
February,
trends and stuff.
End of February is
It's
rough,
not always sunshines and rainbows, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's definitely, tough conversations when I ask clients, hey, like, what are you doing as well? Like, we have to make sure you're doing your part as well, too. Right. And I just like to level set and balance them out and make sure we're all on the same page and we're all making money. That's the end goal.
Yeah, I think you do a really good job of, you're really good at holding people accountable. And business owners don't miss this piece. If you're working with an agency, that doesn't mean you don't get to chill. Yeah. If you're working with a good agency, they'll tell you that. And they'll tell you, hey, like, we're a piece of the puzzle. We're going to help you. Like, we've taken clients from 15, 20 grand a month to 50, 60K a month. Okay. We can do that. But really, if you are hammering, it makes that gap much shorter. Yep. Whereas, instead of it taking 4 years, it might take a year or 8 months, a year. Like, if you're hammering, though, like, you got to be brand building. You got to be empowering engagement with your team. You got to be doing all the 5 E's.
It's everything. And then, a good metaphor I think of like a stove. You have 4 things on the stove, right?
Right. 4 burners.
4 burners. I can't think of the word. 4 burners. And we're cooking one thing on the top left, but I need them cooking over here, and then the food, everything gets done faster. Right. So everything needs to be, it's a wheelhouse of things. Right. We all got to be on the same page. And I think that's where if you over communicate, which I feel like I do over communicate, which isn't a bad thing to do. No, I promise.
I'd rather over communicate and you get mad about that.
Some people, I always say, hey, I talk really fast and I will talk a lot, and I will probably call you often. So if you don't want to talk, you can tell me to shut up, and I will be completely fine and happy, and I'll call you the next week.
I'd rather you have to say that, though, than not hear from me for a month.
You just not hear from me for 3 weeks and be like, well, what's going on here? Yeah. So I think over communicating is a crucial thing when it comes to service, and just checking in on people,
especially client success. And I think you do a good job of that, man. I'm super grateful for you. I'm glad that you're here. I'm excited about 2025. I think we're being a little, I don't know. We're being a little shady because we're not trying to reveal all of our plans, right? I mean, I believe in making sure that you don't say what you're going to do before you do it. Do it and then talk about how cool it is.
Right.
And so that's kind of, I wish I could peel that onion back, but I think later on when we have our next episode later on in the year, once we've done some of these things and getting to kind of see what that looks like and talk about some of the client wins, then
break everything down a little bit more.
Yeah. I think that'll be really fun. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on and watching this episode. If you enjoy this content, please share the By Design podcast. Leave us a review. If you enjoyed it, leave us a 5-star review. Share it with someone. We would be very grateful for that. If you have any questions, send them to questions@bydesignshow.com. We're happy to connect with you, talk with you. So, again, thank you guys so much. We will see you on the next episode.
There's a war going on inside. Just to name a couple, I battle with porn and pride. In a persistent struggle, a reoccurring huddle, a prayer meeting with me and the Holy Spirit. Feeling free, but no, I'm nowhere near it. But thank God for his conviction. The awkward part of me that may leave others to suspicion and call me into question. I confess my addiction. Know it's a lethal weapon. May compromise the mission. Being proselytized from this humanistic system. You think about that until